everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Varen, and today I want to talk to you about what Pisces season was like in my practice. So I'm really excited because I feel like my life and my practice is getting reinvented, reinvigorated, and God, is it long overdue. So I'm really excited. So if you missed the memo, I've been on YouTube here for 3+ years now. Oh God, it's been more than that, hasn't it? Shit. I'll look up how many years and put a caption. I've been doing YouTube for a while, and I started with my journal. And recently, as of last month, my journal took a big shift when I suddenly realized and decided I didn't want to do my journal setup based on the monthly calendar anymore. I wanted to do it based on the season, the astrological season, the sun season more specifically. And so very impromptu, a few days into Pisces season, that's what I did. I'll link the video where I talked about it up above in the cards. And in this video, I want to talk to you about like my journal, how it went, what kind of stuff I was going through, and the decks that I used. So kind of a more traditional wrap-up video, which I'm really excited because I've always wanted to do these, but it just never felt quite right for the end of the month. And I don't know why, but I'm very excited. So I did do this very quickly. This, oh my goodness gracious, this, I did this title page for Pisces, the theme being about like through my grief, because I had the grief card as my new moon in Pisces card. Through my grief, watering the seeds that will eventually sprout up. I explained it better in that first video, go check it out. But so I did the Pisces season. And then the big thing that I did differently, and as you can see, there's a couple little days because Pisces season technically ends tomorrow. Not technically. Tomorrow at, let me get the exact time for you. I'm filming this on Sunday. It's Sunday the 19th at 9:45 a.m. You're going to be seeing this, I'm not sure when exactly. But Aries season begins tomorrow, March 20th at 5:24 p.m. So I decided to do this very on the fly, and I wasn't sure what to do. So what I ended up doing was using a bunch of touchstone questions that in the evening I could come and reflect on and see how I felt about them. And the questions I had were, did I rest and recenter as needed? Did I live a life of my choosing? Did I leave room for productivity and play? Was I mindful of the vision I'm manifesting? And these questions came to me through doing my, my March predictions, which ended up being Pisces predictions. So they came to me from the guidebook of the Starseeker Tarot, which I use for my predictions for my year ahead spread. And I haven't changed anything about how I'm doing my year ahead spread. I'm just leaning into like, this is my Pisces season card. This is my Aries season card. So that is what went into that. I do have a video where I've done some predictions live, and I'll leave that up above in the cards as well. I really liked having these touchstone questions because it felt like a really great way for me to pull myself back daily into the energy. They were a great summary of the energy that I'm trying to work with this month, or that I've been trying to work with this Pisces season. So it felt like a really great callback to the spiritual aspect of it. And it felt great because they feel like that perfect meshing. Did I rest and recenter as needed? That's a spiritual guided thing that I do in my day-to-day life. I try to rest and recenter as needed. And some days the answer was no. Some days the answer was yes. Some days the answer was like not really. It was like neutral. So an X was no, a check is yes, a line through is just kind of neutral. So I really loved having these questions, which I came to me with this spiritual context and have a spiritual context and also touch into the mundane. So I did that, and I wrote some what I was kind of feeling about Pisces season, because I had no time to prep this. It was like the 20th when I was doing this, and I decided I wanted to do Pisces season, and I had to set it up right away because it was right there. I didn't really have much prep time, so I didn't have time to think about exactly what I wanted to do. So I just wrote some feelings about that, which I did love. And then I realized that it was like the core at the time felt like restructuring around my center. And what's interesting is that work is not done. There's a bigger story going on that's being woven together for me with my cards, with my messages, and I don't know what it is. And right now I'm having a hard time pinpointing the little pieces in it. And it's all kind of like around this death and rebirth. Like I'm in a death card year, and it's all kind of around that energy. So I felt like it was about restructuring. Oh, okay, let's see. As Pisces season begins, I'm actually feeling excited and ready, which I admit is weird for me. What I'm really wanting to do is kind of feel out and deeply dive into my natural tendencies, which I'm finally ready to admit that astrology is really the center of me. And apparently I'm starting that by completely restructuring my life, how I move through it, and even my journal. Yeah, so I was, it's kind of like admitting, like, if you've been here before, you're probably not going to be surprised. Like, my God, Varen, you talk about astrology all the time. True. I talk about astrology, but I wasn't treating astrology as the centerpiece. So I've kind of been this month trying to re-envision how my whole life will be. And the first piece was with like my journal. So I did write some goals here. I did not really do much of them, and that's okay. And then up here I had the same question twice because both my wife and my son have a both my wife and my son have the same house. Like they're both the same rising sign, we think. My wife's birth time is confusing. But we're operating under the assumption now that her birth time is a specific time because we can't like do a full rectification of her chart. Anyway, so I want to keep an eye on what house the season of Pisces is aligned with a specific house in everyone's whole sign chart. And I want to keep an eye on what house that is in my wife and my son's charts. So that way I can do a check-in with them. So I was operating under that. They were in a 7th house season with Pisces. So that's one-on-one relationships. So for both of them, I ask myself every day, did I work to show up in my relationship with Z and then with Cameron? I did some journaling here about the Jupiter Time Lord. And then this is where I was trying to like goal plan. It did not go well. But that's okay. And then on the next page, I did my new moon in Pisces reading where I pulled that grief card. And that was quite the bang to start my practice on. I still am using my wisdom of the divine feminine, wisdom of the shadow, or wisdom of the shadow combos with my accompanying decks for my full moon and new moon. So there's my grief card. I pull one of these from the Wisdom of the Shadow for the new moon. And then on the full moon, I pull one of these Wisdom of the Divine Feminine as a counterpoint. I've talked about this in a few videos, like my Tarot Cycles video, which I'll link up above. I also talked about it in my, oh good gravy, what's it called? In the 3 like pillars of my astrology practice magic video, which I will also link. And I use those, I use the Tarot of the She with the Wisdom of the Shadow, and I use the Shimmering Veil Tarot with the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. And I love it. So I'm still using that. I can't see that changing. So this was my card I got, which it was so beautiful. Like, this was my card I pulled for the new moon. And then I pulled this for the full moon. And they're just like, look at them. Are they not so beautifully paired? And like, come on. So that was quite spectacular. Put that back in my stand. I wasn't sure what to do, like, in my journal wise for these things, because I've always done things by the month. And I've always done things in a very mundane kind of way. And I'm trying to figure out how these things fit together. I'm trying to figure out how to actually make my planner work better for me. I could spend hours upon hours, days upon days journaling in my planner. But doing like mundane planner stuff, it's essential to keeping my brain clean, to keeping my brain focused. But it's harder for me to understand what will conceptually work for me. And then we went right into the weeklies, which actually, this is the second weekly of Pisces. The first weekly of Pisces ended up being here. And I've been using, I do a weekly with words. I do a spread here. So this is my spread for my week ahead, and for my daily tarot pulls. So I've started this new process where, and we're going to start talking about tarot decks in just a second. I started this new process where I do a week ahead, and then every day I put an energy obstacle advice and I write about it. And this is part of my process of like setting my energy and seeing what kind of stuff to do for that day, which I really, really love. And then on the next page, what I do is a 2-page spread, which I do faux Dutch door style. And I break the pages just in half. So I have a tasks and projects list, and then one for each day. And then I can fold it so that way I can always see my day. I can always see it all like at the same time, which I love. And then in each daily, I love this so much. In each daily, I put what the sky weather is. So what's going on in the sky with the moons and such. I write the important stuff. So I write a little thing I'm grateful for, a victory from the day, something to remember with my wife, and something to remember with my son. I write my tasks, and then when I'm feeling good, I don't do this all the time. In the evening, I strike a line through the bottom, and I use the rest of the space to just write about my day. And this is perfect because I want to journal more, but I find it hard to do too many books. So I love this as an all-in-one. And then what I recently started doing in Pisces season was I was like, I'm doing these weekly spreads. I want to use a different deck, and this would be a great way for me to get using more of my decks. And I'm so excited. And the first deck I used for this week was the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. This first week I used it, this deck is a little strange. It's a bit, to me, this deck is like the equivalent of, it's very similar to the Nicoletta Ciccoli. And I did not like the Ciccoli Tarot. I, in fact, bought the Ciccoli Tarot on a whim when I was very sad or feeling weird. And then I got it and I looked through it and I was like, no, this isn't me. And then I gave it to my wife, who loves it. And then I saw this and I was like, this is my version of the Nicoletta Ciccoli. Now, I am dying to trim this. I got this in a trade. It does have a beautiful orange color to match the back on the sides, but I hate these borders. This art deserves to be freed. So as soon as I can get my hands on the supplies to do a nice trim of this and to put a Sharpie paint marker to put the symbol, I'm dying to get this all trimmed. So I love this deck. I think part of my issue is the big ass borders, and part of my issue is just that this deck feels very intuitive and the borders take away from that, and at the same time I take away from that. I get into my own head and I kind of forget things. So I'm very excited about this deck. And this is, in my opinion, the most Pisces deck I own. It is an extremely Piscean energy deck. It's very watery. It's very kind of weird and squidgy in the best possible way. It's very dreamlike quality. It's very otherworldly. Like, even though there's elements of this world, this still doesn't feel like this world. And all of those things feel like Pisces as well. So I really love this. This was my, like, Pisces energy wise, this was my top standout for a deck that really embodies that energy. So I used that one first. It was like, it can get a bit touch and go, like just getting started. And sometimes, like I said, I get my own way with my intuition, but I really like using the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. And that's by Christina Benentend. It's a, I think this is a Lo Scarabeo. All right. So that was that week. Went great. Loved it. And then Pisces season really like started, and let me tell you, actually, let me look and make sure I'm not remembering my weeks wrong. I'm not remembering the weeks wrong. And then this week started. Oh my gosh. I got really, really waterlogged throughout Pisces season. Like, I don't know what was going on, but this week, February 27th to March 5th, I cried my face off. Don't know why. But I, like, could not stop crying. There was just, I think, a lot of emotional releasing I needed to do. And because I was feeling super emotional, I used my Tarot of Oneness. This deck is something incredibly special, and it's so beautiful. And I've been using this for my daily pulls. I'm actually just thinking of switching a different thing for my daily pulls. This deck is just stunningly gorgeous. One of my favorite death cards ever. What I really love to use this deck for is for getting in my feelings. So when I'm trying to do a reading and I have a lot of big feelings, this is the deck I reach for, because there's something about the first person perspective that really allows me to feel into the card and understand what am I feeling specifically. So this is always a hit, and this is really like kind of a never fail deck. I always find some sort of reading with it. If I pull an extra card, I do pull a regular tarot to go with it. And I do have both Lovers cards in. But like this deck, this is going to be the deck that people talk about for forever and say like this changed the tarot game. It certainly does for me. It allows me to feel the cards. So it was a perfect deck to use for this week, where I started to I was just feeling a lot of feelings, and I needed something to help me understand those feelings. So that's my favorite thing to reach for the Tarot of Oneness for, is just deep feeling questions where you're just trying to make sense of all the emotions. So that's the Tarot of Oneness. I loved it, and it went really well using it. I did my self-worth path reading because I'm a badass unicorn on Lisa's channel, and I'm doing the self-worth path with them, which I love. I don't remember what deck I used though, because I wasn't intending to do this video. So this was in response to me having a lot of emotions, because I was having a lot of emotions around like identity stuff and other just wounds and issues that I have. I thought to build a spread to track the moon and see how I'm doing in the different areas of life as the moon goes around. And as you can see, I did not finish this because this started on February 27th. It should have been long over, but I didn't finish it. I love this as a spread. And if I can ever figure out how to make planner printables to like sell, which few people have asked me about over the years, then this would be one of the first ones I would do. But this is a really great spread for, because all of the houses in astrology are associated with a different area of life. Anytime you want to like check in on things astrologically, this is great, because it's like level 10 lifestyle, but it's for the different areas of life. And then I just have a little box so I could write what kind of topics. I didn't finish it, but that's okay. And it doesn't have to be for the moon. That's just what I was using it for. So I tried that. And then I started trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to actually do this planning stuff? Because I don't run by the calendar year. Because I tend to want to run my life more by the astrological timing, right? And so I went back to a really old spread. Now, I'm still not 100% sure. I really like this, but I'm still nervous because when I started using my Google Calendar, what would happen is I was using a spread like this every month. You can see it in some of my old videos if you check out my bullet journal playlist. It's linked if there's room. I'd put morning, afternoon, and evening, and then I'd write an appointment for each, and I'd be like, okay, that's it for my appointments. And I really liked capping it that way. However, my life is a lot busier now, and there's a lot more that I'm doing, and I can't manage things in that way. So I was like trying to figure out how to manage things between my Google Calendar and my journal. I'll talk more about this when I do the video of my new journal setup, because I have a new journal for spring season. And that brings us to the next week. Okay, this week also really sucked. This week, I had a blow up with a friend on Monday. And so there was a lot of chaos. Like, so Monday Tuesday I didn't end up. This week, the 2 weeks in a row in Pisces just sucked, let me tell you. This week it was because I had a blow up with a friend on Monday night. So here's Monday. Tuesday I didn't pull cards, and then I I just was unsettled. And that came through in my tarot decks because I tried not one, not two, but 3 decks before I think I just went with the Luminous Void. Or I think I just ended up going with the Tarot of Oneness. But I tried 3 fucking decks. So I tried using the Bonefire Tarot. This one is another one like the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight that's just kind of odd to me. And this was not the right deck for this week. So that's part of why it didn't work. But also I'm still feeling my way out with this one. I think this is another one where I get in my own way and I get in my own head because there's so much going on in the images and it's so untraditional. I think sometimes when I use really out there decks, I start to feel like doubt in my own ability. It kind of shakes my confidence a bit. So I tried using the Bonefire Tarot. Didn't work for this week. That's okay, though. We're not giving up on the Bonefire. I think, though, before I tried using the Bonefire, I tried using the Wiser Tarot. This is my only direct RWS. And I love it, but it warped weirdly. Like, it's all I've done is shuffle it and the cardstock's taken on a weird shape. I don't know about doing readings with this. Like, I finally got this as like to try and understand the symbolism and then to try and like I can read the cards, no problem. And I'm starting to get some of the symbols, but like people will sit there and talk about tarot and they'll be like, oh, and here's this symbol, there's the rose, there's that. And I'm like, what are all of these? Where are they? Like, I don't have that information readily available in my head, and I would like to. So I got this, and I specifically wanted to get a version that was very classic, but was more diversified. And so I did. Did not at all work. Like, I tried it the first day, and I was like, yeah, no, I didn't even keep out the cards I'd pulled from it. I just wasn't feeling it. So there's that. And then this is one of 3 decks I ended up getting for my birthday. Well, technically 2. I got 2 decks for my birthday because we were very lucky with our income tax, woot woots. And my birthday hasn't even passed at the time I'm filming this. My birthday's on the 30th, but and then I bought a deck as like a work expense. So this is the Luminous Void Tarot. This is brand new. You can see I have barely used it. I can shuffle it, which I think is really cool. Okay, well, it doesn't work to shuffle it on a book really, but it is shuffleable to me, just not on a book. Anyway. So I have this deck. I'm really excited to get to know this. I'm a little intimidated and I think a little scared because, as you might be able to see from the images, I don't think this is going to be a light and fluffy deck. So this is very much kind of accepting a part of myself that I wouldn't have said was there. The part that's dark and twisty and creepy and likes kind of weird and strange things. I've spent a long time shunning that part of myself, and this is me trying not to. So I think it's going to take some time. I did try to use this. It didn't work, but like nothing was really working this week anyways. It sucked. It was an awful, very hard week. But that's the Luminous Void. So I did try and use that. I don't remember what deck I landed on, and I did not write it down. What I did remember, though, just a minute ago, is there was one other deck technically. And that was at the very beginning of Pisces season. And I forgot about this because this was when I was doing things in February. So I was like, well, that's a February deck. But it's the week that started Pisces season, and that started this whole like really going through and picking a new deck thing, which I really love. So I wanted to talk about it. The deck that I really started, that I was using when Pisces season started, was my Cosmo Beings Tarot. I love this deck. I do want to edge it in like the red. I haven't yet, but I do want to edge it in red to go with the little pops of red. I got this deck in a trade with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. And I had so much fun using this. It read super well. And I didn't even realize I had started using it in Pisces season, but it's like, but again, we hit the otherworldly. We hit the kind of weird, like they're Cosmo beings. And the thing that gives Pisces that kind of otherworldly quality is the fact that A, it's water, and it's mutable water, so it's very watery. And our world tends to run very pragmatic, or at least it tries to. And so we kind of, as a society, try and other our own emotions. And then, oh, I love this. And then you add in the fact that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, because the zodiacal, the zodiac sign starts with Aries. So it's the furthest away. And then with modern rulership, it's ruled by Neptune. So it has a lot of that otherworldly feeling and quality, not kind of like not of this world. So the Cosmo Beings is actually a really Piscean deck too. It doesn't feel quite as Piscean to me as the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight, because it doesn't feel very watery. But like, this thing is all about stars and weirdness. I'm so glad I got this. And I'm so glad that I used it. It was really great. It went really well. The readings were just flying out of, it was fabulous. I'm very, very, very excited about that. So that's the Cosmo Beings. And then, boop, 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 here we go. Got to go back to where I was. So as you can see too, my planner, I didn't do much journaling at all the first couple days. And then I started to feel better and started to journal. And sometimes if like there's a lot gone on, there's a better example in here. Sometimes when there's a hard day, but I want to remember specific things, I just do a point form instead of like journal style. So I did that here, and I did that here. So here, Zookeeper Simulator, we played that. There was nice weather on the dog walk. We watched Troll Hunters. I was texting Zariah during service. There was Nerves for D&D. There was Wiggle Room BS. I don't remember. Oh, I do now. And lots of crying. And then we came to the full moon, which is when I pulled this. And I got a printer. So I'm now able to print charts at home, which I'm very excited about. So I did print and put this chart. I'm really wanting to... I've talked about it before here on this channel. The one thing I'm missing with my practices is like putting action steps to them after taking the lessons and like doing something spiritual with it. That's really the side of things that I'm trying to build. So there's my full moon reading. I did my newest moon return, which started on March 9th and goes until April 5th. And my grandmother I pulled as my grandmother spider for creativity. Permission to make, spin your threads, your web create everywhere you go. I'm very excited to work with her. So those are the cards that sit on this little card stand. It's actually from my wife's Exquisite Familiars deck, but I use it because she wasn't. So I put the full or new moon card there and my grandmother's card there. My 2 moon cards. This was a reading I did from my sovereign because every week I pull cards from the illustrated herbiary, crystallary, and bestiary. This is the herbiary. I don't have it in the oracle format yet. And then I pull a Prairie Majesty oracle card for my sovereign card. So I pull one of these, and this is my most recent one. And the question on it was, what is mine to share? And so I was journaling on that a bit. And then this is this week. And this week I have once again been using the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. As I said, I really determined how much I love this deck, especially for Pisces season. So I wanted to end out Pisces season using it. And then that's it. In this journal, the only other thing is, let's see. I did a reading trying in preparation for setting up my new journal. That's this one. It's called The Seasonal Shifts. I was shifting into spring. And with my Wildwood, which definitely feels very pagany and felt like the right deck for this, I pulled 3 cards for where I'm coming from, 3 cards for where I am now, and then 3 cards for what I'm moving towards. And because I got a printer, I was able to print cards, and I'm very excited. I love how this turned out. I loved doing this. It was really fun. And then that's the end of my journal, minus a couple of like just scribbly notes, and there's a couple little pages left, but okay, so there's a few, but nothing really too big a deal. And that's it. This journal is done. The only other thing that I thought I would share is the 2 other decks that I got for my birthday. Let's move that. One of them you might have already seen. I did an unboxing of it. I got the Energy Archaeology Oracle. And actually, the other deck I got, I like to use with it, and that's the Somnia Tarot. I am so glad I got these. This one especially. Well, I love them both so much. So let me stand up and make sure I'm well in frame. So this deck, I got them both. I've been so drawn to them. I've just been so drawn to them. And I actually really love them together. And there's kind of a feeling like that these two go together. I don't know if they're going to stay that way. The art style is not exact. But this deck, oh my goodness. The Energy of Archaeology Oracle, I love it so much. It's so unique and so cool. And with it, I've ended up starting the development of a new practice. Going with another cyclical, repetitive practice, because that's what I like. I like things that repeat, but yet are always new. And so with my cards, that's really easy to achieve, because the cards I use remain the same, but the messages I pull and the thoughts and feelings that come up with it are always different. And so that's what I love. That's one of the things I really love about working with cards and creating cyclical readings. So for this one, I'll talk about this more in my next video where I talk about my new journal, but I've started to create a reading with my annual perfection year. Which is an astrological thing. If you're curious and you'd like me to do a video, a Let's Talk About Astrology video on annual perfection years, let me know in the comments down below. I've actually got some ideas of, wow, look at this. We've got the Tower, the allowing for the mandible, and strength here. This is stunning. I've actually got an idea of a video about annual perfection years I want to do, but it's still like in the process. So I'm not quite, it's not quite conceptualized enough that I could do the video. So yeah. But if you'd like to hear me just do a simple video about what the annual perfection years are, then let me know. But yeah, so I got the Somnia Tarot and the Energy Archaeology Oracle, and I adore them. The Somnia is one I'm also intimidated by, but very excited about, and it feels really special. And I'm not 100% sold that it will be used in this capacity with this deck. I'm not 100% sold on that. And this deck, this is easily one of the most unique decks I've ever seen and in my collection. It is so well done, and the guidebook is astounding. I know I did like a flip through, but like I hadn't really looked at the guidebook and whatnot. And this guidebook, it's so cool. So this skeleton that I showed there, and if I have room, I'll link that video. It's like, okay, you can look up a part of your body where you feel pain, and then based on this person's long-term study, based on Ashley Stinson's long-term study of the energetic pathways of the body, it can tell you what you need. So if you're having pain in your wrists, you go to Pulse. And I actually have been having pain in my wrists. So let's go. Let's go look. Elements, earth, air, earth, water, fire, air. In balance, it feels spacious and dynamic. Out of balance, it feels compressed and stiff. The associated cards are co-creation, giving, love, pleasure, power, pride, receiving, worthy. Several of those are in my new spread that I pulled for this. There's an anatomy blurb. The wrist is the synovial joint in the arm that marks the transition between the forearm and hand. The 8 carpal bones that make up the wrist are the scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, fusiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. The wrist joint is formed where the carpal bones articulate with the metacarpals and where the carpal bones articulate with the forearm. And then it says the energy. 6 of the 8 carpal bones in the wrist are water element bones, indicating fluidity, movement, and filtering. These bones are separated by joints that are instantly and constantly seeking to align the energies flowing through with those at the core of your body. The capitate bone plays a central role in the unique pulse-like flow of the wrist as energy moves back and forth over these bones from center to edge. When energies aren't in alignment, they are moved to the scaphoid, an earth element storing bone, or to the lunate, a fire element transmuting bone. Energetically, the wrist doesn't store many misalignments because the articulations between these 8 bones consistently check whether frequencies coming in are aligned. However, the frequencies the scaphoid does store can build up over time, and the relationship between the capitate and the scaphoid shifts the energetic pulse of your wrist. And then the wisdom. Your unique timing is a synthesis of where your energetic pulse meets the energy and pulse of the universe. Frequency is flowing to you and from you at all times through the pathways of the hands and arms. You're giving and receiving, ideally in equal, sustainable measure. Likewise, the universe is giving to and receiving from you. When you do not trust the pulse of your life to communicate with the world around you, it will disconnect from the pulse of the universe, finding cues in the three-dimensional world, synthetic replacements for something truer and deeper. Trust the pulse of your life. When you do, it will sync with a rhythm that is deeply resonant throughout your body and the energies you connect to. You will feel in harmony with opportunities brought to you, and what you need for your next step will always be waiting for you. This is synchronicity. And then there's always questions. There's always like 4 questions. What is my relationship to time? Does this change with seasons and different creations? How would it feel to release control over what I know is time and timing and trust in a divine universal timing instead? That feels strong for me right there. Can I feel how timing is part universe, part me? This is part of co-creation. Can I trust the timing the same way I trust guidance? I want to point out the trust just because like I've literally been having pains in my right wrist, and I'm left-handed, so my right wrist is my receiving hand. How does the pulse of my life feel best? Do I feel more comfortable and at ease moving quickly or slowly? So that's one of the things you can do. You can look at things actively going on in your life and find the body part associated. And I love this so much. I can't even. This is such a beautiful meeting of my physical body and my energetic spirit. This is such a stunning deck. I love this so very much, and I'm extremely excited to find new ways and more ways to work with it. And that is the wrap up of Pisces season. Overall, it was okay. Nothing too terrible. Well, I mean, it was rough. I'm ready for Aries season. Let's just skip ahead to that. So I'm gonna let you go here. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you can come on back nice and easily. In the description box below, you will find a link to my website. I'm a professional astrologer and also tarot reader, so I've got lots of services there you can check out. And I really like combining the two. You can check that out there. You can find the link to my Patreon. I have started creating a guided practice, and the first one I created was for Aries season, which I'm very excited about. This is kind of the, albeit very quick, evolution of what I started doing on Patreon. And there's more evolution coming. So stay tuned. I know that I change a lot and I change fast, and I know that that is hard for people. The core of me doesn't change. And the core of what I'm trying to do doesn't change. It just happens that the way my brain works, it takes me a while to fully understand things and conceptualize things. And if I was always waiting until I fully understood and conceptualized things before I started doing the thing, I would never do anything. And in fact, that is something that has happened to me, and I'm just not willing to do that anymore. So I know if you're along for the journey, it can feel very fast to a lot of people, and that's okay. It's authentic to me, though. It is authentic to me to show the change in my life as it unfolds. And that's a lot of rapid change and evolution. And yes, if you're wondering, it is exhausting and I'm fucking tired. So yeah. So there's that. The Patreon is evolving, and I'm so thrilled. And for Aries, the guided practice I created was about sparking your fire, and I'm very excited. There's also my YouTube channel membership linked that you can check out. That is also going to be evolving. That one I'm trying very hard to understand and conceptualize. and feel out what I want before I change it all. It's not going away. It's just evolving. And there's also my email. If you have any questions or any video requests for me and you would like to reach out personally, you can reach me through that email there if there's any questions about anything on my website. And in the comments down below, let me know, how was your Pisces season? How have you been feeling? Are you feeling pretty waterlogged? It wouldn't surprise me because a bunch of stuff moved into Pisces. And yeah. Are you excited for spring and Aries season? God, I am. I can't wait to talk more about it. But for now, I'm going to go. And I'll see you all very soon. Lots of love. Bye.